and 20 years later to be able to be part of history of the first next thing we've flown into space like that is absolutely a dream come true for myself.
Certainly a tragedy for NASA, one that has created many lessons learned for our agency, but interesting that it led you into this.
They have around the world.
And briefly, Wayne, as you look out here to the Pacific Ocean, where you will literally be in the water in just a few minutes, will you be sharing any words with your team?
Good luck, be safe, and let's be part of history.
All right, we wish you the best. Wayne, thank you for taking the time, and good luck out there.
Thank you, sir.
Rob, we'll send it back to you.
Thanks, Daryl. It looks like a great day out in the Pacific, west of Baja, California, where Orion is headed. And you can't beat this view, though. The view of the Earth, where Orion is headed, tried and true on a pinpoint course for a splashdown just 1 hour and 16 minutes from now. After Orion enters the Earth's atmosphere at the conclusion of this 25-and-a-half-day mission, the spacecraft is going to rely on a very heavily tested parachute system to slow down its speed and allow for a very gentle splashdown. Koki Machin, the chief engineer of Orion's parachute assembly system, now describes the process and the path to the certification of the parachute system. A series of 11 parachutes will be deployed in sequential fashion, a very dramatic return to Earth lying ahead for the Orion spacecraft.
Our design is almost exactly the Apollo design. The shape of the mains, the shape of the drogues. The only major difference is we are bigger. Apollo weighed roughly 13,500 pounds, and we weigh 22 and change thousand pounds. And so our parachutes are larger because we have more energy to take out of the system, and our parachutes are stronger. So at a fundamental level, all round parachutes are alike. The Orion system has drogue parachutes that initially decelerate the system, and because they're deployed at a much higher velocity, they're made of ribbons. The ribbons can take the fluttering associated with high-velocity deployments much better than a solid canopy can. And once the system slows down, it deploys the mains. The mains are much closer to a personnel chute. They're called ring sails. The major difference would be that a personnel chute could be 28 to 30 feet in diameter, and a CPAS main is 116 feet in diameter. So the Orion parachutes are what we refer to as hybrid parachutes. The drag surfaces are nylon, but then the structural grid, how we take the drag on that nylon surface and transmit it down to the vehicle, is made of Kevlar. And Kevlar is quite a bit stronger and stiffer, and it just completely different material than the drag surfaces are. So the CPAS system is designed to safely recover the crew with just 2 mains deployed. The problem with deploying the backup chute after you deploy the first 2 chutes is you have to negotiate the chute that's already out there. So what we chose to do, and what Apollo chose to do, was to deploy the backup chute with the main system itself. And as a result, we get a much softer landing when all the parachutes work properly. But both systems were designed to land with just 2 main parachutes functioning. When we did the pad abort test at White Sands, I was quite scared. But I wasn't scared for our system. I was scared for the repositioning after the rockets took off the capsule and repositioned it. It was perfect. That thing reoriented like it was on rails. And I swear to you, this huge relief came over me when the cover came off, because I thought, wow, we're not done, but we're done. I know this system's going to work.
And there again, the view of the Earth. We're about 33 minutes away from the first big milestone that will be the separation of the crew module and the service module, signaling the beginning of Orion's entrance into the home stretch of its 1.4 million mile journey. With us at this hour is the Deputy Associate Administrator for Exploration Systems, Kathy Kerner. Kathy, thanks for joining us this morning. It's great to see you.
Glad to be here.
You know, this is a little bit of deja vu for you. You were a flight director in this room for a number of years. Your thoughts as Orion approaches the end of this maiden flight?
Yeah, certainly a lot of history in human spaceflight has been made in this room, and we're making some more today. And really excited. There's a lot of energy in the room, and it's very familiar, but it's also very different as we step into this next episode in human exploration.
You know, the mission had its trials and tribulations getting off the ground, but once it did, so far, so good. The mission has exceeded expectations in many areas. Of course, the post-flight analysis is yet to come, but from the top level, the 1,000-foot level, looking down at the mission, what are your thoughts about what has been accomplished in setting the stage for a crewed mission 2 years from now?
Absolutely. This has been a phenomenal mission thus far. If you asked me to grade it, I'd give us an A+. I think that the work that has been performed both by the Exploration Ground Systems team, the SLS team, and the Orion team has been fantastic. We've been learning how the spacecraft operates. We've been learning how to fly this amazing machine, and it's gone so well that we've actually been able to add tests during the mission that help expand the envelope that we're going to be able to use to operate the spacecraft once we have crew on board.
The major objective of the mission lies ahead. That's the rigorous testing of the heat shield, as we've just seen in our features. 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit building up around the spacecraft, twice as much as space shuttles endured when they re-entered the Earth's atmosphere. How do you think it's all going to fare, and what then needs to be done to analyze the performance of the heat shield in certifying that we are good to put a crew on board in a couple of years?
So this is the primary objective of this test mission, but we've got a lot more objectives that we need to accomplish between now and when we launch crew. We have an environmental test that we need to conduct of the entire integrated spacecraft once we get the environmental and life support systems on board. So this is just one of many tests that we have going forward and one of many analyses that we need to do with all of the post-flight data that we retrieve from the spacecraft.
We opened up the broadcast paying homage to Apollo 17 landing on the moon 50 years ago today. It's only coincidence that this happened, but it seems very appropriate, doesn't it?
It does. It seems fitting that we would honor Apollo with the new legacy of the Artemis generation and this mission today.
Thanks very much, Kathy. Kathy Kerner, the Deputy Associate Administrator for Exploration Systems, and we're nearing the end of the home stretch here of this very first mission.
Thanks, Rob. Great to be here.
And as the Earth grows larger and larger in the field of view, Orion continues its trek back home with crew module, service module separation just 30 minutes from now. Entry interface just 20 minutes after that. In the meantime, let's go back out to the Pacific, the destination for Orion today, where Darrell Nail from the Kennedy Space Center, again embedded with the Exploration Ground Systems and Recovery teams, is standing by with Shannon Walker, NASA astronaut.
Well operation. All hands on walls, staying clear of wing walls, vehicle storage areas.
That's right, Rob. Shannon Walker, NASA astronaut, has been on board since we departed on Wednesday to come out to the site. Thank you for being here to take some time to talk to us amidst this important operation to recover the Orion crew module.
Absolutely. I am happy to be here.
So tell me a little bit about the reason you're here and what you're doing as you observe the operations today.
Yeah, of course, we do not have crew on this capsule, but I am here because the next Artemis flight will have crew on it. And so we are starting the process of assessing how we're going to operate with crew. How do we extract the crew from the capsule? How do we get them to the ship safely? How do we do all the medical checks we want to do? So we're starting the process of getting ready for the next Artemis mission.
And with this capsule being recovered today, it will be brought back. I imagine that the astronauts will be very interested in the data that comes off of it. This particular capsule has sensors all over it, more than any future capsule will have.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is going to tell us what we need to do, change, modify for the next Artemis mission.
Executive read man flight quarters at 0945.
And what you're hearing are some announcements from the ship PA informing the crew at what stage in the operation we're at. I should mention that we just had helicopters, the MH-60s at the back of the flight deck just launched off and are in flight now to the recovery area. They play an important role here. Shannon, continuing now with our interview, when you look at the operation as a whole, they're currently trying to determine how the astronauts will be recovered. That's not happening today.
That's right.
But that will have to be integrated into the operation. Do they come off immediately after the crew splashes down? Or there's an idea kicking around there to have them stay in the capsule and come to the back of the ship. What are your thoughts on both of those? What are the pluses and minuses on those?
Well, certainly the plus of having the crew come off immediately is that the crew is not staying in the capsule for an extended period of time. There'll be a time when we'll have to turn off the cooling in the capsule, which would mean the crew will start getting very warm in their suits. So it's better to get them off before that. Also, you'll probably see later the operations in the well deck. There are a lot of waves in there, and it's probably not going to be a fun ride for the crew to be in there. So you're right. We're looking at it. The actual, next summer, we're going to have another test run. We'll be out on a ship, and we will be looking at all the different methodologies for getting crew off the capsule.
And may I ask what your particular favorite would be? I mean, I think you've already kind of indicated you're leaning more towards, let's get off the ship.
Off immediately. Yeah, so I think we will probably, and now don't quote me on this, but we'll probably extract the crew via helicopter from the capsule and helicopter them over to the ship.
And as an astronaut, just briefly, when you come back from space, physically, you're in a condition where, how would you describe it, physically and mentally?
Yeah, so when we come back, we consider crew deconditioned. While on the space station, for example, we have lots of exercise, so we're really strong when we come back. It is still a big adjustment to being in Earth's gravity again. The lunar mission is kind of in the middle between what we did in the shuttle days and what we're doing on the space station. So we don't know exactly how the crew's going to feel, but they're going to be exhausted. And so their balance may be off a little bit. So it's better just to get them out of the capsule. As far as the mental side goes, I found that when I am back on Earth, it's just a huge sigh of relief in that somebody else is worrying all the details and I can just sit and relax a little bit.
Well, we appreciate you being here. Thank you for all the insight. You're doing a great job of staying balanced on the 4 to 5 foot seas as you see the horizon going up and down, right?
Definitely a challenge.
Thank you very much, Shannon. Rob, we'll send it back to you in Houston.
Thanks, Daryl. Thank you, Shannon, and happy sailing out there as we continue to watch this scintillating view of the Earth as we are just 1 hour, 5 minutes away from splashdown. Now, as Shannon Walker alluded to in that interview with Daryl Nail on the USS Portland, we're going to be on the air here for a couple of hours after splashdown while a number of flight objectives and test objectives are being conducted, data gathering on the Orion spacecraft. But the whole recovery issue to get Orion into the well deck of the USS Portland is no small feat. Melissa Jones, who is the landing director and the recovery director from the Kennedy Space Center, has worked tirelessly to choreograph all of the elements of that recovery operation. Let's take a look now at how Orion will be recovered.
Today we are aboard the USS John P. Murtha, and behind me is a mock-up capsule of the Orion crew module, and we are training the team to be ready to do Artemis 1 recovery operation. My role as the NASA recovery director is to lead the interagency team that will recover the capsule. Ever since the Apollo program, NASA and the Navy have worked together to recover NASA's capsules in the water. So one of the huge benefits of working with the Navy is the fact that they're operational and we leverage their core competencies to bring the flight hardware and the crew back safely from the moon. On the Artemis 1 recovery day, my job will be to direct the team through the integrated operation to recover the capsule. The ship will get to the recovery location 24 hours before, and we will start launching weather balloons. And that data will go back to Houston and will help inform where we splash down. A couple hours before splashdown, the Navy launches small boats off of the knuckle boom crane, and helicopters will take off, and they will do their circles in the air, and they are waiting for the capsule to re-enter so that they can get good data and photo imagery of the capsule on its way back to Earth. Once that is done and we splash down, we will stage the capsule, approach the capsule, attach lines to the capsule, and recover it into the well deck of the ship. Artemis 1 recovery operations will take about 5 hours to perform all of the work we need to do because we are gathering data so that we can fly a crewed mission on Artemis 2. When Artemis 1 splashes down, it's going to be the culmination of all of the hard work that we've put in as a team. It's going to be an amazing feeling, hearing that we've met Earth's interface and that we can see 3 good main parachutes. And when we hear Splashdown, I'm going to get goosebumps all over me.
And again, that whole recovery operation will take several hours. We are going to remain on the air for at least 2 hours or so after splashdown, so that we can bring you all the information regarding the initial safing of the vehicle and the test objectives that the flight control team here in Houston, led by Flight Director Judd Freeling, will be absorbing all of that data, mostly about the thermal conditions of the spacecraft, which will have come through some 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit in entry. And with us at this moment is the man who is going to be watching all of that very, very carefully, John Kowal, who's the Orion Thermal Protection System Manager. John, your big moment is lying ahead here, the plunge back into the Earth's atmosphere. This is the moment of truth to test the heat shield. What kind of thermal environment are you expecting for Orion as it makes its way into the Earth's atmosphere and then back through the atmosphere itself?
Yeah, so, as you mentioned, 5,000 degrees on the ship, but to back that up, how do we get there? So that vehicle still has all that energy that the launch rocket put into it during that first beautiful launch, right? So that gets converted into velocity. So we're going at 25,000 miles per hour, which is, how do you even fathom what that means? It's 7 miles per second. Wow. So all that energy, enough to power 4,000, 5,000 homes in a day, we have to get rid of it